First of all, I just want to say that I'm sorry for how long it took to get to this video. So much has been going on, okay? Anyway, it's my 5th time doing this, so let's get on with it. Roll the brand new intro and titles. Journeys of James Railway Transport Music and Gaming News. It has been absolutely far too long since I've done this, but I am finally back with it after a whole year and 2 months. And this time, it has had a complete rebrand, including a new intro with my new voice instead of the old one, and new titles. So it's time for the line to be said once again. Welcome to Journeys of James Railway Transport Music and Gaming News. So, let's finally get some news spoken again. Now, what do we have here? COVID news. I thought we were done with that nonsense. And wait a minute, what's this? You guessed it right, guys. The Omicron variant has ruined our freedom. Face coverings are once again mandatory on public transport, in schools and in shops. Now they've also returned in theatres, cinemas and loads of other indoor areas. Worse still, loads of events have been cancelled, but thankfully Christmas wasn't, and social distancing has to be maintained where possible. Also, strangely enough, Omicron is 3 times more transmissible than Delta, but is less severe. What? Oh, I just don't know how this disease works anymore. Can we have some proper news please, my voiceover guy? Well, if you must, but really, I'm only meant to be moving on and leaving you all to suffer from the nonsense. Oh, no you don't. Lumo has begun operation on the East Coast Main Line. This new open access operator between London and Edinburgh is to be a low-cost operator for just £30 one way. It offers a single class, an at-seat trolley service for catering and free Wi-Fi connectivity for all passengers, and aims to compete with LNER as a result. Additionally, passengers are able to pre-order food and drink items from other brands for delivery on board. This TOC also aims to reduce journey times to less than 4 hours between London and Edinburgh and will be more environmentally friendly. The trains are a fleet of 5-car Class 803s, which despite being electric only, have a battery stored in them in case there's a problem with the overhead wires. Services commenced on the 25th of October with only 2 trains per day in each direction. This will increase to 5 by early 2022. The call-in points are Newcastle and Morpeth, with some services calling at Stevenage, so it's no wonder journey times will be so quick. Now I must say, the livery is miserably dull. Who puts blue on the front of a train with a blue livery? It is really confusing. I personally think they need to change this up a bit. Oh well, at least it's not as bad as this load of nakedness. Ugh. Also for the news, it may have been a long time ago, but do you remember when I said this? Southeastern could be dying. Poor souls. I do like their logo, may I tell you? Well, my mistake, because they have had their franchise extended to 2021, with an offer to extend it to 2022. Well, unfortunately, that offer into 2022 has not lived long enough. The Southeastern franchise owned by Gavia ended on the 16th of October and was handed to the DFT, who renamed it to SE Trains Limited, though they still have the same trading name as Southeastern, which is cool. The franchise ended because an investigation found out that the company failed to declare a tremendous £25 million of taxpayer funding that was required. Honestly, I'm beginning to feel like everything happens just to cause people rage, and that just makes me sad. However, in some mood-changing news, the first Southeastern 707s are on the line. The first of these entered service on the 27th of September and have been given the name City Beam and are now running all over the Southeastern Metro network, with the remaining ones from SWR to be there by spring 2022. Some also received the new Southeastern livery, which looks really classical. The yellow bits surrounding the headlights though, in my opinion, don't quite fit the rest of it. I would paint those so that they match the colour of the rest of the livery, but oh well. Not much we can do about that. In some London Underground news, the new Northern Line extension to Battersea Power Station is now open to passengers. And I will say, the new stations look incredible. I went there in November, so I should know. And did you know that they're proposing another extension to Clapham Junction as well? But that won't be for another few years. This is amazing stuff. I hope everything on the Northern Line goes well with trains to the power station. Also in the news. What? Another derailment? Oh no. Yep, unfortunately, there was an incident involving a Great Western Railway Class 158 and a South Western Railway Class 159 in Fisherton Tunnel near Salisbury. 15 people were rushed to hospital, including one of the train drivers. The tunnel was shut for 2 weeks, along with both the Wessex Main Line and the West of England Line, which both pass through the tunnel, and they join each other at the eastern end. The GWR train was operating a Portsmouth Harbour to Bristol Temple Mead service, and the SWR train was operating a London Waterloo to Honiton service, and they happened to be passing by the area at 18:45. The SWR train failed to stop at a red light, and shortly thereafter collided with the GWR train. The driver of the SWR train became trapped in his cab among the wreckage, and then thankfully was freed before being taken to hospital, where his injuries were described as life-changing. And the closure of the lines affected a number of services for days. Additionally, it was stated that the track in the area required heavy refurbishment and may needed to be relayed through the tunnel. 158762, which was the leading unit of the GWR service, was removed from the area by rail on the 4th of November and surprisingly remained undamaged. It seems like everything has been cleared away now, and I hope everyone round there is doing fine and mostly recovered from this. Now, let's please make sure we don't have a third derailment in that area. Yes, there was one 115 years ago in 1906. But let's not go into that, we have more important stuff coming next. Up next we have the Wellington Junction story. The new dive under signalling has been commissioned and the dive under itself has been readied for use. Wellington Junction is 3 miles north of Peterborough Station and allows trains from the west side of the East Coast Main Line to access the line to Spalding and Lincoln without getting in the way of faster services. There is a curved jack deck pushed into place underneath the main running lines, and it is the first use of such a structure in the UK. The dive under is not electrified as it leads to an unelectrified line. However, passive provision has been made for installation of this, though it may require the tracks to be lowered. I must say, I think it's a great idea for a dive under if it stops the need for trains to cross in front of fast services. What? I'm just saying. Speaking of upgrades, the new track layout at Bristol Temple Meads East Junction has been completed and looks really cool. Now they just need to electrify the station, which by the way is heavily delayed. I suppose this is something you can expect with major projects nowadays. Crossrail, HS2, speak for yourselves. Phew, this is hungry work. Voiceover guy, would you mind getting me some crackers please? Yeah, sure, be right back. There you go. No, not those crackers, my voiceover guy. I mean food crackers. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second. There. Thank you. Voiceover guy. Well, after all that, I'm not hungry anymore. Thanks, my voiceover guy. You've just spoiled my appetite. I couldn't care less. Now let's move on to more important stuff, please. Don't make me suspend you from your job. Honestly, why can't you do anything right? Hell was caused on some tube lines after drivers went on strike because they weren't being paid enough money. These were on all 5 night tube lines, those being the Central, Jubilee, Northern, Piccadilly and Victoria lines. Reduced services were operated and the strike lasted for at least 24 hours, if not longer, beginning on the 26th of November. All other lines must have been overcrowded as passengers were trying to find alternative routes, and I was in London that weekend, and when I was on the Jubilee and Victoria lines, it was like a traffic jam. Oh well, hopefully there'll be no more strikes planned. Oh no. Also yes, Night Tube is kind of back in operation. Meanwhile, with HS2, a new logistics hub has been created in Wilston to deliver carbon benefits. This will be where earth from 26 miles of London tunnelling will be processed, and also will take over 1 million lorry movements off the road. Instead, there will be 8 trains per hour through the hub at peak operation, maximising the use of rail freight in the construction of HS2 in London. This all sounds like superb stuff, and a great way to reduce harm to the environment. But for some bad news, the eastern leg of HS2 was scrapped. Yes, the leg between Birmingham and Leeds was unfortunately cancelled as part of the integrated rail plan for the Midlands and the North. Trains will instead finish at Sheffield, then the government will spend a most likely to be wasted £100 million on a study for the best way to take trains to Leeds as well. You know what these things are like, don't you? They always turn out pointless, because they never really happen. On another note, 39121 was painted into a lush green tree to spread the message of how important it is to protect the environment, and was also used to transport delegates to the COP26 conference about climate change in Glasgow. This lasted for the first 2 weeks of November. People were talking about what steps they would take to tackle the global warming. Here is an image of a Hydroflex train showing support to it all. Last part of this headline is that TPE, Angel Trains and Hitachi will be testing a battery pack on one of their Class 802s in 2022. GWR are also doing something similar on one of their Class 802s. The intention is to rely on battery power when arriving and departing stations to cut noise pollution and emissions in those areas, so it's not so nasty for passengers. These batteries are hoped to replace one of 3 diesel engines on the train, and if successful, will cut carbon emissions by at least 20%, as well as reducing fuel consumption. And as much as I could go on and on about this, I'm just pleased that people are trying to care more for the environment now. Last main headline. The Island Line has opened up to passengers after a 7-month delay with the upgrades. Closing immediately the day after the 483s were withdrawn from service and sent to random locations, the line was much needed for upgrade works in preparation for the new Class 484s, which were converted from the long-gone D78 stock on the District Line, hence the name D-Train. Some of the works included raising of the platforms at stations so that they were level with the new higher trains, and the trains entered service on the 1st of November. The trains do look cool, and I do want to ride on one someday. But please can we have a moment to remember the fantastic service the 483s provided during their time of operation. Now, I may be a year late, but I still like to show respect to great things. And that's it for all the main bits of the video. Cool, that's a lot to get through. For the mini headlines, Class 720s have entered service on the West Anglia Main Line. Such a pity that not many are in service still. New timetable changes that are coming to Manchester in 2022 have been confirmed. Excellent. Now for every station in that area to be bustling with commuters 24/7. A new footbridge is being constructed in Cleethorpes so people can access the seafront and is scheduled to open in March 2022. Stabilisation work on the Hastings line took place in the October half-term. This was to prevent any possible landslides in the future. Gatwick Express has returned after nearly 2 years. But now that the 387s went off to help with other operators, it could be quite difficult to provide a decent service. That's only my point of view though, so please, have mercy. Some LNER Azuma announcement recordings have changed.
Hello, and welcome on board this LNER Azuma to Middlesbrough.
No! I much prefer the original way the tape sounded.
Middlesbrough.
Oh well. At least it makes the announcer sound more cheerful when now saying Scarborough, Cleethorpes and Grimsby Town, of which I have no footage of, so bottoms. Speaking of LNER, for the first time in over 30 years, trains are now connecting Middlesbrough with London. I rode on one on the 17th of December and it was really fun. Great Western Railway have honoured 18 COVID superstars who have made great sacrifices during the pandemic. That is a really nice thing to do. The ScotRail Class 153s have entered service on the West Highland line and also have the Highland Explorer offer. I'd like to see why, but we're almost out of time. Soham Station on the Ipswich to Ely line has been opened to the public, which looks incredible. New trains are due for the Piccadilly line in 2025, built by Siemens. Here is what the inside will look like too. Crossrail seems like it is really close to completion as trains are being tested through the new tunnels. The London Overground extension to Barking Riverside is almost ready to open. This will likely be in autumn 2022. Within the new decade, there is planned to be an extension to the Aberdare branch on the Cardiff Valley lines. And finally, frequent services on the Dartmoor line to Oakhampton have been restored for the first time in 50 years. Stamford Courtney closed on the line earlier this year, and a new station named Oakhampton Parkway is in the planning and should hopefully be opened in years to come. All I can say is I am really looking forward to all this amazing stuff, and when trains increase to an hourly frequency by next year, because at the moment they are only every 2 hours, I will be wanting to try that line out. I'm already excited for it. Don't you ruin it, my voiceover guy. Well, I don't. Remain quiet. Thank you. Now, let's give a shout out to someone. This one goes to DP's Railway videos. His content is amazing, so please do go and sub to him. And now, we have finally reached the end of the video. Also, you may have noticed that I played a Christmas tune in this. It's just been Christmas, so I thought I would do it. And this video is also a bit of a Christmas edition, because I thought it'd be nice to do something special for Christmas. Albeit I am a bit late, but we'll just go with it. Right, that's enough of my chatting for one video. I know I haven't done too much uploading in 2021 like I hoped. So much stuff had been going on. Anyway, I can promise you there'll be more content from me in the new year. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in 2022. Goodbye.